Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm here with Coach Adam.
Hello.
And we're going to start the road to the Olympia series here on my channel. So all the way up until Olympia, every week, we plan on releasing a YouTube video.
Road to the Olympia. It's so crazy that it's already here.
I know. And we're 6 weeks out from time to recording. And my goodness, the Olympia gets harder every single year. This year's no different. And if you've been following me for a while, you know I like to compare the Olympia to the final exam.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pressure at the Olympia. I'm going to be very much on edge, especially those last few weeks. I'm probably not going to be the most pleasant to be around.
You haven't used your 2 credit cranks this so far.
Oh, no, I didn't.
You haven't had a bad crank. You haven't had a bad one.
So I'm allowed 2 crankies per year where I just freak out or cry or whatever the case may be. I don't think I've used it yet. So I'll probably use those last few weeks. But yes, the final exam, the Olympia. So what I mean by that is there's a lot that rides on the Olympia. No matter how well you do or don't do during the year, it seems like people only tend to remember your Olympia placing. And much like the final exam, you can do well all year, but if you fail the final exam, you fail the class. So a lot rides on the Olympia. I like to say the Olympia is exciting, but I don't consider it to be like a fun show. And I hope that doesn't come across the wrong way. I enjoy being there, but I would consider like a fun show, like one of our maybe a local show where it's not as much pressure. It's more like low key, but the Olympia is not a low key show. It certainly is not.
Yeah. And same thing for there's a lot of nerves going into it for me too, because it's like, I know what happens at the Olympia. You know, the odds of you winning it are just as good as slipping in places, right? It's like, and it's just anyone's day that day. And it's like, there's so many things that can happen in variables in bodybuilding. You could have, I was listening to one of the Jay Cutler's podcasts the other day, and he was like, man, he's like, so you could have a neighbor next to you at the hotel room, just keeping you up all night. And that can mess you up for the next day. Like so many variables you can't control that go into it. And it's like, where are these girls going to place? And they're already so close, it's not like there's these huge margins where, okay, no matter what Ashley does, it's not like a big Ramy, right? No matter what anyone does, they're not going to wake up and he's going to be smaller than them the next day or something, right?
Right.
With you guys, there's the margins are so close that that's not there. It's the Olympia is wild with that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's because in Bikini, there's more variables, I guess you could say, or there's more gray area. Yeah. Like one year they could be like, oh, maybe we don't want them as lean. The next year they're like, we want them softer. Next year we want them bigger, et cetera, et cetera. And you try to go off of the trends that they set during the year, but you still don't know. And, just like any other show, sometimes your body just doesn't want to cooperate that day for whatever reason. So yeah, it's always so close with the Bikini Olympia, and just one little flaw can just set you back in placing. So luckily I have been very proud of myself. For the last 2 years, I got 3rd place, which incredible. Crazy. Even if I got that again, I would be so excited.
And it was a number one American.
Number one American.
Yeah, number one American,
okay.
which is...
I'm holding it down for the States, okay? But, I won the Olympia 2013, 14, 15. That was a long time ago. But this year is the 10-year anniversary of my first Olympia win. In fact, maybe one of our Road to Olympia videos will be reflecting on my first Olympia win. If you want us to cover that, please put it in the comment section below. To this date, my most happy moment in my entire life. Yeah, if you guys are interested, we should make that like an episode itself, reflecting on my Olympia titles.
Does that add a little bit to it for you, too, the 10-year thing, or is it not so much of a...
It's cool. I mean, I don't think of it as much, I guess, because I don't know. I try to live in the moment, Yeah. But it's crazy how the physiques are so different. Yeah. Like, oh my gosh, my Olympia win in 2013. Oh my God, I wouldn't even have made it to the Olympia this year with that physique.
Yeah, that from 10 years ago. A pro card.
I wouldn't even be competitive. So I think if I want to, I guess, pat myself on the back a little bit,
one
thing I am good at is just keeping up with the times. It's harder than people think. You see Olympia winners, even just from a few years ago, they're not doing as well anymore. But somehow this freaking cockroach over here, yes, I've been able to hold through.
The cockroach. You can't get rid of. We call it. Okay, so if you guys are new and you don't know what the cockroach is, we call her the cockroach because a couple years back, people were complaining about her competing too much. And we say, you know what? She's the cockroach. You can't kill her. You can't get rid of her. She'll survive a nuclear attack.
I'm a pest.
She's just going to be there. She's just a pest.
I'm here to invade. But yeah. So if I were to give myself credit, I've been really good at like keeping with the times, which is difficult because, you know, not that anybody's physique ever got worse. It's just other physiques got better, and you'll see different trends of physiques thriving in certain years. Like one year, they're like a more slim, more, I guess, lean look. And the next year, full and bubbly. So you never know what they're going to go with. So trends come and go. So somehow I've been able to survive this nuclear attack, which is Bikini Olympia.
It is a nuclear attack.
Yes. So exciting times, nerve-wracking times, a lot of pressure. I'm probably going to be super cranky. Sorry in advance. But it is what it is. But after Olympia, it's like that weight gets lifted off your shoulders. Just like, I did it. Another year. I survived the nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
So we'll also compete probably after Olympia too, but more to come on that. But let's talk a little bit about this extremely long off season that I just got off of. Oh my God, it's like so long.
Long off seasons for Ashley are like a month.
Well, to be fair, this has been like the longest.
This is the longest one. This
like
one
in a while.
This one to me feels long, to be honest. Usually I'm like, oh, Ashley, whatever, you know, but this one I'm like, actually it's a long time. Like, yeah, it's actually longer what it feels like.
Hopefully they didn't forget about me. They probably thought I retired because I've been away for so long. But yeah, my last show was mid-July, which was the Vancouver Pro Show. But I decided to stop there and wait till Olympia because I felt very satisfied with what I brought to that show in particular. You know, each show we do throughout the year, we're learning things. I love to compete, of course, and I will compete just because I love it. But in addition, we're trying to figure out things. We're trying to figure out best peak weeks, best suits, hair, presentation. That show in particular, I just felt so satisfied, like, oh, we got it. I know what to do, you know? And we did a whole video on the Vancouver Pro recap, so we won't go into it too much. If you're interested, you can watch that video. But I felt satisfied. And sometimes whenever you leave off on such a good note, strategy-wise, it's probably not a good idea to risk another one because I felt like confident. I felt like I left off on a really confident note. So I want to bring that momentum to the Olympia. So that's why I haven't been competing. So, you know, just trying to get these juicy gains, you know?
Yeah. And I think that you've had a very successful off season too. I think that it was worth it. I think that you put on the fullest you've been. I mean, the fullest I've ever seen you right now. Yeah. So, which is, I know it's a little bit unnerving too, right? Because you're like, am I going to make it? Because I feel a little fuller, which is there's always that part of it when you're kind of going out of your comfort zone. But I do applaud you for that. Because that's the one thing that I really do. Well, there's a lot of things, but one of the things I really like about you is you're willing to go for it and try new things, and you're a risk taker with that. So yeah, I know it's comfortable, but you do it. Yeah. Yeah.
So during this extremely long off season of a few months,
September. What does it take? September 20th.
Such a long off season. So during this extremely long off season, what did I focus on? Well, my juicy gains, of course. So I really prioritized lifting. I cut off cardio cold turkey, like zero cardio throughout that time. I just recently started to introduce cardio once again, but my calories were about 1,700-ish on average. My weight was at the highest 127, which is about 5 pounds or so above stage weight. So I was able to kind of keep it together without doing much cardio. A good amount of calories for me, which I'm not, if you know me, you know I'm not like the biggest eater. I don't have the biggest appetite. So that for me was a lot, you know. Some days I wasn't even able to hit that 1,700 because I'm a lightweight when it comes to eating. But for the most part, it was 1,700. But yeah,
you get a couple weeks where you got to 2,000.
Yeah, I did. I just a few times. Like sometimes the hunger comes and goes. But yeah, it was, I guess, a pretty productive off season, you could say.
Yeah, yeah. And then for people who are like, oh my gosh, that's not a lot of calories, right? But you remember, she's a 120-pound lean bikini competitor who's super active, who just got off show and is getting ready for the Olympia too. And
with
she's not
zero cardio.
Yeah, with zero, yeah, very important, zero cardio. And I guess technically a sedentary job, right? I mean, you're sitting doing check-ins, but you work out all the time. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I would consider my job sedentary, right? So you're active, but the work itself, if we look at occupation, yeah, for the most part, sedentary.
Yeah,
bikinis are actually your job, really. So
yeah,
tough.
I mean, 3 days I'm in office, but yeah, I mean, you're right. I wasn't doing anything like I wasn't on my feet all day or anything. Yeah. So I think that's a good point to make is like some people like to brag about how many calories they have, but at the same time, they're also doing an hour and a half of cardio in the off season. So it's like, well, pick your poison.
Yeah.
Less cardio, less cardio, less calories, more cardio, more calories. And to be perfectly honest with you, Adam, I have just not been in the cardio mood like for the past year. I've been dreading cardio so much. I hate it now. I hate it.
Because you haven't been doing it for so long now.
I know. I don't know. I think like once you get into the rhythm, you can kind of enjoy it more, but I just been hating it lately. So I prefer not to do it. I don't know. I just don't want to get sweaty and stuff. I just.
Well, luckily we just started ramping up. I mean, she's doing 2 cardio sessions last week. 2 last week?
Yes, per week, not per day.
Per week.
We said that on the podcast and people are like, 2 per day? I'm like, no, God, no. Yeah. If I'm doing 2 cardio sessions per day at 6 weeks out, that means I let myself go, which I like to think I didn't.
Yeah, no, you did a great job. Yeah.
Thank you.
So yeah, 2. So and that's the thing. And again, pick your poison, right? Are you going to stay leaner in the off season and have a lot less cardio in your prep, so you can focus more on the weights, or are you going to go, crazy in the off season and have a lot of cardio and really not be able to put so much energy to the weights, and have a lot less calories likely too. So you pick your poison, one of those things. So
I liked not having to do cardio in this off season because like I said, I could really focus my attention on the weights, like really like making sure I prioritize my lifting. So, I enjoyed my off season, but now it's time to get shredded AF.
Yeah.
So I just started doing cardio recently. I start with like 1 session per week, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4, and then we'll see where we're at, Yeah. Every week will be different. Of course, I check in with Coach Adam every single week. I will put my check-in here so you can see what it looked like this week. But Adam, what did you think about my current physique now and my check-in?
Like we'll have these our little battles are very small, but I think you're way ahead. And I know that you think that you're not as ahead as you are, but you're way ahead in your prep. With the shape that you're in right now, let's say we got behind and we just happen to be right here and it's 2 weeks for the Olympia, I still wouldn't be worried. I'd be like, oh, we have you in shape in 2 weeks for the Olympia. Like it's going to suck, but we'd have you in shape. Right. So like you're way ahead. And so I think my only concern right now is that you believe that you're ahead, that you believe a little bit that you're ahead, and you understand and know that like take a step back and be like, okay, if this was my client and I was the coach, would I be as worried as I am now that I'm going to be ready for this show, even though it's big as it is? And so my only concern is that we over prep and we overshoot and then we lose a little fullness because of it. That's my only. So I'm like, I know I got to convince you. You're way more ahead than you think you are. So on a 10 out of 10, like on a 10 scale factor of you being where you need to be for this, you're at a 10 right now, which is great place to be 6 weeks out. Very good place to be.
Right.
So yeah, that's what I think. I think your check-in is awesome. And your density is good. Your fullness is really good. Your balance is really good, which is your thing. That's one of your biggest things is your balance. When you compare everyone else, like when we talk about finding a flaw of balance in you, it's almost impossible to really find it. You have to on stage, you really can't. It's really hard. And that's the one of your strongest attributes, that you have. And so everything looks really good right now. And it looks harder, not because you're leaner, but it looks harder because there's more density to it, more just not a unattractive non-bikini density, but just like the right there where you need to be on your glutes, on your tie-ins. I was really shocked that your tie-ins look like this far out too. So and I know you still have some body fat to lose, but with them being where they're at right now, I mean, a few times I've been like, man, is she leaner than I think she is? Or is she just more muscular now? And that's why she weighs? Like, it doesn't make sense. So, but I'm stoked. Looks wise, I'm like, I mean, it couldn't be any better at this stage.
Well, you know, for the Arnold and the Olympia in particular, I get the competitor goggles really bad, which means like I don't see myself as lean as you see me. But I think my logic behind that is, for those two shows in particular, for the Arnold and Olympia, you need to be ready ahead of time, like way ahead of time, not just because they are the most important shows, but there's no backing out. Unlike any other show, right? I can just not turn in my contract, right? For any other show, you can turn in your contract a week before, okay? And let's say I wanted to do one show and I wasn't ready like I thought I would be. I'd just be like, okay, I just won't sign and return my contract. No big deal. But for Olympia and Arnold, you got to turn your contract way ahead of time. And there is no backing out. You got to do the Arnold. You got to do Olympia. Like, I can't be like a week out from the Olympia and be like, you know what? I'm just not in shape enough. I'm just not going to, you know, just do the next one. It doesn't work like that. Once you sign that contract, it's a done deal. So, not that I even would, even if the contract was due a week before, I don't want to back out like that. You know, it's the most important show. So, yeah, that's why I always want to be ready way ahead of time for those two shows in particular, like because there is no backing out. And let's say I got sick a week or 2 weeks or something, or the body just didn't want to respond like usual, then I would be very stressed. So yeah, probably literally up until show day, I probably am not going to think I'm lean enough. Yeah. Even last year, I remember I had a little fit in your office over here because I was like, I'm just not lean enough. Oh my gosh, why am I holding water? In hindsight, I think I was just crazy. Yeah,
you know what? That's every competitor getting ready for that level
but
of show.
In my mind, I was just like, I didn't think I was prepared. But hey, I showed up to Olympia, and I want to say I was probably one of the most conditioned ones there. I mean, we all maybe a little much.
We all have those moments, so I'm glad. You know, it is. That's why you got me here, right? And it is what it is, and we all have those second guessing moments too. And there was a moment going into the Olympia last year where I was second guessing even myself too with your guys' preps, and we ended up with number 3 and number 7, right? And I'm like, okay, now what am I even?
What were you second guessing? Curious.
So you know what? At this level, there's just times where you're like, I wonder if I'm really as good as I need to be at this level, you know? And like, so
imposter syndrome, right?
Yeah. I'm like, sometimes you're there and you're like you're against legend coaches too, right? The coaches have a whole different competition, right? And it's like, you know, we're all trying to get each other. We're all friends, but we're trying to get each other. And it's like, you know, sometimes you're like, man, am I behind right now? Like, am I staying on pace with what's happening? Am I using the right practices? Am I getting behind on this? Am I falling? Like, and there's like, and sometimes I think that too, and it like keeps me up sometimes at night. Like, I need to keep evolving. I've been staying stagnant. Like, I need to keep evolving, right? So it's like, we all go through it, right? And I was second guess myself going to Olympia. I'm like, man, I hope I got this right. You know, I hope I got this right. I think I got it right. I don't know. I think I got it right. And then you have all these guys there, the big names are all there, you know, from different countries. And I'm like, man, what does he got? What is he doing that I'm not doing? You know, what does his girls look like, right? And I'm like, oh, we're killing it. We're good.
And like, correct me if I'm wrong. You were the only coach with 2 athletes in top 10?
Prepped athletes, yeah. That I
What do you mean?
There was like 2 on like at one team, but one of them wasn't prepped by the same coach.
Oh, so let's just say yes.
Yes.
Okay. You're being modest.
Yes. That was
the only coach with 2 athletes in the top 10.
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
So, hey, you are one of those legend coaches, I guess.
One of these days.
You were referring to.
I think I need a few more years, but yeah, I never, it's a weird thing to be. It's a weird position to be in, but yeah,
Well, hopefully I make you proud again.
Oh, you totally, you get, honestly, you get 1st or 15th. I'm going to be stoked either way. You know, I'm going to be happy for you. I just want you to be happy with the end result because it's, you know, for me, I care less about how it goes, you know, for my own personal stuff. I feel like I've done what I needed to do, but I still feel I need years to be in that legend status. You don't. You're there. And I know you don't like saying that, but you are a legend at this point. And I just want to be right by you and give you the best opportunity to be the best you can. Whether you finish 1st or 10th, that's Bikini. And we have to know that, you know, and I think that you have a good perspective of that. You know, we're not fluffing each other up and being like, oh, you're there to win. You're going to smash everyone there. Like, that's just not how Bikini works. You can't train to smash people in Bikini. You know, it's not like a boxing match or like, you're going to win. Like, it's not that thing, you know? So, but I do think that the odds are are really good for you. I think that they're better for you than you probably think they are. But it's Bikini, you know?
It's Bikini. Yeah.
And it's Orlando. And the one thing I do want to overshoot for is because it's Orlando and the humidity's higher there.
Coming from Vegas, really dry, to really humid in Orlando, Florida.
So I will overshoot, I think, by a week for your prep. You're going to be 1 week too lean. I'm cool
with that.
Yeah. And then
I can eat and relax
we'll
and not do any cardio or something.
Yeah. Monday, Tuesday.
The less cardio, the better.
Wednesday, we'll get a real good idea of how many carbs we need on like Thursday, Friday, based on how you're taking in water from the humidity and whatnot. So.
Yeah. Exciting times. Well, let's see what happens. Like you said, you can't really train to smash in Bikini because it's like, get bigger, get leaner. Okay, now you're too big, too lean, and you're last call out now. So it's like just that really precise little range of body fat with the precise range of muscle. But with that being said, I do feel like this year I did make improvements. Upper body has become less of an issue when talking with judges. Some didn't say it at all. They said it was perfect. This year, I also started to train my quads a little more because Bikini evolves and quads weren't, it used to be a thing they didn't want to see, but now they want to see a little bit of it. So I've been training quads. So I just feel like a little more complete these days and more balanced, as you say. So we'll see what happens. The one thing I deal with is like the burden of expectation with pressure. That's the only negative thing about ever winning the Olympia is now it's an expectation to do well all the time. So, you know, I always carry that burden on my back, the burden of expectation. Whereas like somebody that's like maybe never won the Olympia before or never gotten the first call out from the Olympia, they have less of that pressure because no one's expecting them to do well. So I feel like I do bear that pressure and that burden, but I will embrace it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like at the end of the day, even though I hate the pressure, I tend to do well under it. I feel like.
Yeah, you always come through. Yeah, you do. So I sent you this video the other day because it reminded me exactly of what you're talking about.
Higher power gave you more. When there's more given, more is expected. You understand that?
But it's the pressure, though.
I understand the pressure, but God built us different. Did you just tell me that?
I'm 23.
So sometimes there's a lot put on us, but it's put on us because we're the ones that can take it. Jared may not think he can sometime. Jared may get messed up sometime, but Jared can wear these shoes. That's why Jared has it. You understand me?
But Jared ain't asked for it.
Too bad. Jared has a destiny that Jared can't run from. And Jared ain't no coward, I already know that. Right? So Jared may as well make up his mind and let's go. You gotta ride that horse, son. I'm sorry. You gotta ride that horse. I rode it. You ain't gotta ride it till the wheels come off, but you gotta ride it. You understand me? You gotta ride it till you get where you wanna be in life, then you can get off it.
And so I just love that so much because it was just like an external visual of what we talk about daily and what you're internalizing too. And it's true. You've had a lot of, I mean, you've earned every blessing you've had, you've earned, right? It's not, people are always like, oh, you got to get a little lucky. You got this. I'm like, you got to earn that luck and you've earned it. And yeah, with it, every time you get a little bit more, a little bit bigger, the weight gets a little bit heavier. It's a little bit more demanding, a little bit more pressure, a little bit more eyes, more people talking about you, right? So it's a tough thing to wear the crown that you wear, you know, it's a heavy crown, but you do a very good job of it and you don't fold. A lot of people do. It's a tough position to be in, you know? So,
right.
So hats off to you on that too, you know, because I don't think people understand that part of it. They just see like the glory, right? They'll be like, oh yeah, it'd be great to have, to be this athlete or be this coach or be this LeBron James or whatever, right? The top person, like, dude, so much comes with that. So much more than just talent comes with that success, which is that weight of expectation, the weight of everyone talking, of everyone watching, of, you know, of you getting second, not being good enough. Like, that's crazy to say, you know, like people would say, oh, you got third. I'm sorry, you got third. You know,
like,
dude, third in the world, bro.
I'm stoked. Oh my God. If I got third again, I'd be like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Throw me a party. If I got third again for 3 thirds in a row, I would, I would be, you guys have no idea. That would be so amazing.
Yeah.
I think like a lot of people think I have that expectation to win for myself, but I know it's Bikini. And although I want to win, don't get me wrong. Oh, I will do everything in my power to try to win. I just think of things like statistically and logically and Bikini, and you see it all the time. Girls that you think is going to win, they don't. They don't even get anywhere close. So I am just blown away that I was able to keep up with all of this. So I'm happy with myself. We'll see what this year brings. Hopefully I do well. But it's Bikini, so let's hope for the best.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm excited. Actually, this YouTube has really like made it hit home for me. Like, dude, this is the Olympia again. Like we're actually doing it, you know? It's so crazy to think about. When you walk into that, like I'm just a coach, but when you walk into that, I'm like, I don't know how you could. It's because I've been there a few times with athletes when they walk in the first time and they see the Olympia stage and they're like, and I just shut up, you know, I just want to watch them react to it, you know. It's like, it's so grand and it's so amazing and it's such a blessing and it's so unworldly. Like, how is this possible that you're competing on that stage? It's crazy, you know.
It is crazy.
It doesn't make sense. It's not. It's like, it's just something so beautiful and so different and so grand, you know. It's like history, you know. It's like, you know, it's like, it's so, we're like kind of detached from, oh yeah, Arnold did that. Like, that's crazy, right? Like, oh yeah, I grew up watching that when I was 8. Like, Arnold did that. Like, that's nuts, man.
Yeah.
And you're gonna be on that stage. It's so wild. 6 weeks.
I am 6 weeks. Let's freaking do it.
Yeah, let's go, man.
Let's leave nothing on the table. Let's just give it our all. And that's all we can do.
Yep.
You know, at the end of the day, we can hope for whatever placing, but the most satisfying feeling is knowing like I did give it my all. Okay. There's nothing left on the table. There's no regret. So as long as I can go in with that, I think I'll be good, you know?
Yeah.
So
I think that's the real takeaway. Like, no matter what happens, if you can actually walk away, like, you know, and there's no voice in your head saying, oh, I remember those days where I didn't work out, or I remember those days where I was off my meal plan. And like those little things where maybe you lost a point or two because you're just could have been a little bit better. If you can truly walk away from the show, in any show, and be like, nope, that was it. There was no juice left, no stone unturned. There was nothing I could do at that point. And like, then, hey, that's a good feeling of, you know, zero regret, you know.
And with no stupid mistakes as well. Like stupid show day mistakes.
Yeah. That's a tough one. That's a tougher one.
Those are the worst ones. Those are the worst ones. But anyway, I'm excited. Let's freaking do this. Road to Olympia begins.
Yes, let's do it. Let's go train.
6 weeks out. Let's go.
Let's go.